Hey guys, I'm Redeem Zoomer, and today we're going to talk about denomination hopping, the problems with it, and why it can be sinful in extreme cases. So, I run a large Christian Discord server, which has not been very good for my sanity, and that means I have seen lots of denomination hopping, many cases of people rapidly changing the denominations they publicly identify with. If I haven't talked to someone online in like 6 months, whether it's on Discord, Instagram, whatever, I can confidently say, if I check in on this person now, they're probably a different denomination now than the last time I checked in on them. And it's like a 70% accuracy. It's kind of scary. When I first started my Minecraft server, when I first opened it up to the public, that's when Eastern Orthodoxy was first getting really big online. So a lot of the people wanted to build in the Eastern Orthodox region of my Minecraft server. A lot of those people who originally built there are no longer Eastern Orthodox. Some of them have gone Catholic, Anglican, some of them reverted back to their old non-denominational church. Many of them were non-denominational the whole time, but were just LARPing as Eastern Orthodox online. So yeah, the point is, since I'm a Christian influencer, I've seen insane amounts of denomination hopping, and it's probably why I am more annoyed by it than the average person. So, the good news is, more young people are interested in Christianity than in any of our lifetimes. This is the first time traditional Christianity is actually the cool thing. Normally, traditional Christianity is like the uncool thing, it's what your grandma did, but now, young people are becoming more religious than old people, so that is good. Denomination hopping is a symptom of a good thing. It's a negative side effect of a fundamentally positive development in society, so I'm not complaining about that. But the bad news is that because it's getting popular, young people use it to LARP, which stands for live action role playing. It means they use these religious identities more as external badges than things they actually have a personal long-term commitment to. So in the 2010s, Gen Z was insanely woke, and LGBT was the thing that everyone was getting involved in. And, when I was in high school, lots of people would change their gender identity every week. It's like, okay, now I'm non-binary. Now I'm like trans... fluid demi-queer or something like that. They made up all these 76 genders. Actually, I was taught in health class in high school that there are 76 genders. Apparently there's new genders being invented every day. But now, a lot of people are doing the same thing for denominations. Just changing their external religious identity based on whatever they feel like this morning. So, this is obviously better. It's obviously better for people to LARP with Christianity than for people to LARP with LGBT ideologies, but in both cases it can be kind of superficial and it can lead to a lot of confusion. So, it's not great in either case. So what is denomination hopping? I'm not saying, oh, you're a denomination hopper if you've ever changed your denomination, right? I'm not saying you're a denomination hopper if you were kind of denominationally homeless, just kind of going to a non-denominational church because that's what you're familiar with, and then once you started to learn about theology, you wanted to be committed to a particular tradition. Like, I know tons of people, most of you guys, I'm guessing, were raised non-denominational. I wasn't, but most of you guys probably were. And because a lot of people are investigating traditional theology, they're switching from some non-denominational megachurch to a more traditional form of Christianity, whether that's like Anglican or Catholic or Orthodox or Lutheran, that's fine, I get it. Because I think it's very good that people are digging deep into historic Christianity and not just going with the lowest common denominator stuff they're raised with. That's fine. But a side effect of this is sometimes they can rapidly change which form of traditional or historic Christianity they publicly identify with. So I don't think it's denomination hopping if you just weren't generally committed to any denomination, and then you committed yourself to a denomination, that's fine. I think it is denomination hopping if you regularly change what you are committed to. Because a lot of young people are just like 22, like my age, they just discover some new religious identity, and they'll ferociously defend it online and get into theological debates before they even read the Bible. I know lots of people who want to get into, like, apologetics. I know this guy who wants to get into Anglican apologetics. They haven't even read their Bibles yet, and they're debating, like, the filioque. Like, this is a 1,000-year-old debate. You're not going to resolve 1,000-year-old debates on TikTok, especially if you haven't read the Bible yet. The people who were debating these issues, like the filioque or the miaphysitism, in earlier centuries, they knew their Bibles backwards and forwards. They were not random TikTok influencers who discovered these issues last week. So I think it is denomination hopping if you basically just discovered what Eastern Orthodoxy is 2 months ago, and now everyone's a heretic for not believing it. Or if you discovered what Eastern Orthodoxy was 2 months ago and then discovered trad Catholicism 1 month ago and then you changed your opinion on that and now everyone's a heretic for believing what you believed 2 months ago, you know? So that's what I'd consider denomination hopping. Rapidly and or frequently changing the denomination or theological tradition you publicly identify with and support. So it's not denomination hopping if you are still investigating things, if you're visiting various churches. I know lots of people who are, maybe they're coming from a non-Christian background or from a denominationally homeless background, and they're just, they'll visit a Presbyterian church, they'll visit a Catholic church, they'll visit a Lutheran church. That's fine. If you're not making a strong commitment, if you're just exploring, it's fine to explore, it's fine to look into things. But if one day you're a very passionate Lutheran, one day you're a very passionate Anglican, one day you're a very passionate Catholic, that's what I would consider denomination hopping. Now, what's the max number of times you should change denominations? I can't give you a number, but generally the more times it happens, the worse it is. Because seriously, if someone's just a different thing every year, how are they going to have any long-term commitments to anything? So what is wrong with denomination hopping? You might think, oh, well, these are just a bunch of young people learning what they believe. Well, the Bible says to not be tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. So if somebody is easily persuaded to believe new things, if somebody is easily talked out of their beliefs and talked into new beliefs, usually based on watching some TikToks or YouTube videos, then those same people could easily be talked out of Christianity. And I have seen that quite a bit. A lot of the same people I've seen hop between denominations have apostatized, either given up on Christianity completely or been convinced by some atheist or Muslim YouTuber. I actually have seen that. So I think it's a sign of weak character if somebody is very easily talked out of their beliefs, very easily talked into new beliefs. People should have more strength and more stability. It's not like you can ever change your ideas, but it needs to happen a lot more slowly. And it can't happen immediately after just exposure to some brand new ideas, right? It's unhealthy in general, even for your secular life, because it hurts your ability to make long-term commitments. The same people who have trouble committing to denominations might have trouble committing in relationships or things like that. People who are indecisive about denominations or religious matters are probably going to be indecisive about secular matters, and being too indecisive is just not good for your earthly flourishing. So I think it's a sign of good character to be able to make strong, long-term commitments and not easily be talked out of them. All right, the Bible also says that consistency matters. Jesus says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. For whatever is more than these is from the evil one. He says that in Matthew 5:37. Now, is Jesus addressing modern denomination hoppers on Discord? No. But he is saying that the value of your yes matters. He was addressing people who swear by this, swear by that. It's like, I swear on my Minecraft server I will not get a low taper faith. No. If you have to swear by, these greater and lesser things, you're basically cheapening the value of your yes. Even if you say yes casually, that should matter. Even if you say no casually, that should matter. The value of your speech matters. So, like I said, that's why if you're not really committed to any denomination and then you become committed, that's fine. But if you fiercely defend one religious tradition and then go back on that, and then go back on that again, well then the more times you do that, the less your words mean. Because if somebody has a reputation for consistently changing their beliefs, and now they're defending something, maybe they're defending Welsh Calvinistic Methodism, I don't know, you might ask, well, how do I know that you really mean what you say? How do I know you're not going to say something else next week? They often do say something else next week. And it's good for character, it's good for Christian development, for your yes to mean something, and for your no to mean something. If you regularly and frequently change your religious commitments, then your yes won't really mean much when it comes to religious commitments. If one day you say yes to this denomination, one day you say yes to that denomination, one day you say no to this, one day you say no to that. It's also very important for the flourishing of all denominations, of the flourishing of all church communities, and everyone of every denomination can support this mindset. It is better for Protestant, Catholic, and Orthodox churches if generally there's the same people in those churches for many generations than if people are constantly bouncing back and forth between those churches. For any church community to be built up, it needs people who are committed long term. The reason that we have these historic churches is because people have had multi-generational commitments. It used to be very normal to go to the same church as your great-great-grandfather. It used to be very normal to be baptized, married, and funeral, to have your baptism, wedding, and funeral in the same church. That doesn't happen anymore because everyone wants to get the new thing. Everyone wants to change. So the American consumeristic mindset, I feel like it does not value commitment. It values novelty. And nobody cares about making anything last in the modern world. Everything we have is cheap. Our food is cheap. Our belongings are cheap. Our buildings are cheap. We want speed above quality. And that's a problem. So I know this is sort of like an earthly argument, but it's better for everyone if people are more slow to change what church they are affiliated with. Because if everyone's just bouncing around, nobody can build up any long-lasting communities. Nobody can build up any stable communities. There's also a lot of religious trends. And there has been a religious trend every single decade. In the 2000s, contemporary Christianity was the trendy thing. It was something called the emergent church, and everyone during this time thought the emergent church was going to be the next big religious movement. They thought it was going to be the next Reformation, the next Great Awakening. They thought this is the future of religion. This is where a lot of contemporary churches come from, even though contemporary churches existed before this. It was sort of this like postmodern Christianity. Let's reimagine new ways to do church, bro. The emergent church, I was barely even alive for this, but it saw traditional Christianity, the stuff that's trendy now, it saw traditional Christianity as, stale, superficial, and hypocritical, whereas the authentic stuff, the real Christianity, is this contemporary, postmodern church stuff. And then in the 2010s, you had the Young, Restless, and Reformed movement. Most of it was just Reformed Baptist, and even the Presbyterians who did participate in it were very, very influenced by Reformed Baptists. But it basically defined the entire Reformed tradition as the 5 points of Calvinism, and people thought this might be the future of Christianity. But the Young, Restless, and Reformed movement basically centered around a few celebrity pastors. They had some scandals. It all burnt out, and now everyone in that movement has either gone to something more high church or something more liberal. Now, in the 2020s, there's an opposite movement to the emergent church. The emergent church movement saw traditional church as, superficial and contemporary church as authentic. This trend in the 2020s sees the exact opposite. It sees contemporary churches as superficial and traditional churches as authentic. Now the cool thing is to be in whatever church is as trad as possible. Usually this means Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox. For some reason, everyone forgets that Oriental Orthodoxy exists. There's some high church Protestants that try and be like Diet Catholicism. Some people might accuse me of that, but it's like I'm not like some high church Anglican who's trying to have a Protestant rosary and Protestant icons. Like, I'm actually, low church, basically. Presbyterians are traditionally low church as far as magisterial Protestants go. It's just that we seem high church compared to this non-denominational chaos. But I'm not trying to advertise some niche high church Protestantism. I'm trying to advertise generic grandma boomer mainline Protestantism that was America's dominant religion for most of its history. Right? So nobody thinks they're following a trend. I've seen this trend all the time. I see lots of people converting for the trend. No individual who converts for a trend thinks they are converting for the trend. So if this is you, you're not going to think it's you. If this is you, you're going to think, oh, brother, I truly believe this. I know everyone else is going for the trend, but I believe this. Everyone thinks that. But you have to realize that group psychology is real, and your thinking is influenced by the group much more than you think it is. Hegel was right that communities do have collective minds. There is a zeitgeist. There is a spirit of the age. In the 2000s, everyone felt this push towards contemporary Christianity. And now in the 2020s, everyone's feeling this pull towards Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy. It's the spirit of the age. It's the zeitgeist. It's peer pressure. It's groupthink. It doesn't mean nobody in this movement is authentic. It does mean that you have to beware of the influence that religious trends have on your psychology. Because in 10 years, there's going to be a different religious trend. If it were up to me, everyone would want to become like a generic boomer mainline Protestant with, 4-part hymns and organs and the First Methodist and Presbyterian Church downtown. But, I'm not God. I don't shape the future. So it's probably going to be something else that I find kind of cringe. Okay. So this is something that might be kind of controversial, but I think it's generally better to be consistently in the wrong denomination than sometimes inconsistently in the right denomination. Like, I'm Presbyterian. I'd rather somebody be consistently Lutheran and committed to Lutheranism than, bouncing back and forth between Presbyterian and Lutheran, because it's more important for them to have, a stable conscience than to just be shifted around by all winds of doctrine. Now, another thing I notice, and I don't think this is good, is that everyone has a tendency to rebel against their upbringing. Everyone wants to rebel against what they're raised with. The most ferocious, Catholics tend to be raised evangelical. The most ferocious anti-Catholics are often raised Catholic. Like, bro, I literally went to Catholic school. I'm the expert on Catholicism. And the opposite of that is, bro, I went to Waters of Life non-denominational church. I'm literally the expert on Protestantism. And we see this globally. Historically, Protestant countries like England are now going more Catholic, and historically Catholic countries like Latin America are now going like Pentecostal and charismatic. The common theme is that because of the internet, everyone's exposed to new ideas, and everyone thinks the ideas they were raised with are stale, and the grass is always greener on the other side. I think this impulse is sinful because it violates the fifth commandment to honor your mother and father. Now, if your mother and father are not Christian, you gotta follow God before your parents. But the bias should be in favor of your parents rather than against it. Right now, it seems like everyone is biased against what they were raised with. It's like everyone's been inoculated against what they were raised with, but they haven't been inoculated against new ideas, so they're more susceptible to new ideas. I think, this is another thing Hegel was right about, that things tend to evolve into their opposites, and especially because Hegel's ideas have influenced the modern world. Often being raised firmly in something will lead you to be very radicalized against that thing you were raised with. Anyway, so when is it okay to convert? I'm not saying you can never change denominations. I mean, I haven't changed denominations, so I'm better than you. I'm kidding. My only conversion was going from non-religious to PCUSA Presbyterian that happened like 8 years ago. Sometimes you will change denominations, but only if you feel like that is the only way to obey God. Only if you feel like it is more important to change denominations than to be consistent in what you have said, especially if you have, previously made a firm commitment to a denomination you're now leaving. So it's okay to change denominations at times, but you shouldn't do so lightly. It should feel like moving to a new country, and less like, changing a new favorite Netflix show or changing your favorite fast food restaurant. Because sometimes people move between countries. I haven't done that. Most people don't do that. Sometimes people do move between countries, but it's kind of rare to, live and identify with a different country every week. It's like, today I'm American, tomorrow I'm French, the next day I'm Japanese, and now I'm African. That doesn't happen because everyone knows it's a very big thing to change what country you live in. I think changing denominations should have the same mindset. Now, a lot of people might be confused because they're overstimulated with all this denominational propaganda they're seeing from every side. If that's you, don't give up. Just pray and be patient. All these religious trends will die out, but the words of God will never die out. So it's not like you can never change your mind, but make sure you do so slowly. The Bible praises people that are patient, and it says it's not good to be hasty. It's not good to make decisions rapidly. But I'm glad that this is happening because it is a sign that people are getting more interested in Christianity. So that is objectively good. So thank you guys for watching this video, and as always, I will see you all later. God bless.